one that caused all of this was that prick CM Punk. I took my eyes off of you, you sweeped my legs, took off that metal brace, and bashed me in the face. But then, that bondage Undertaker Damian Priest screwed it all up.
CM Punk has cost Drew McIntyre a lot. The epic feud has only been going on for 2 months now, but it feels like there's a whole lot of money to be made from it in 2024. In case you've been living under a rock, CM Punk attacked Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 40, directly leading to Damian Priest successfully cashing in his Money in the Bank contract. And on Raw after WrestleMania, he distracted Drew McIntyre to help Jey Uso become the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. So why exactly was CM Punk costing Drew McIntyre twice best for business? Let's take a deeper dive. The two men have been on completely different career paths. They aren't parallel, and they're hardly similar at all. If anything, the only thing they have in common is the fact that their runs in WWE overlapped for a few years between 2010 and 2014, the year both were done with their first stints with the company. Despite the lack of commonality, they're now embroiled in a rivalry that could possibly become the wrestling feud of the year. Their story only began in late January of 2024 at the Royal Rumble. The final four of this year's men's Royal Rumble match featured Gunther, Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk. While Cody took Gunther out for the second year in a row, Drew McIntyre was eliminated by none other than CM Punk. But for CM Punk, it came at a big cost. His first WrestleMania main event. Cody would go on to win the match by eliminating CM Punk, but the best in the world had his right tricep torn thanks to McIntyre. Punk was rumored to be headlining night 1 of WrestleMania 40 against Seth Rollins, but that wasn't meant to be due to the tricep injury that now required surgery. As Punk entered the operating room, Drew McIntyre left no stone unturned when it came to mocking him. He took pride in the fact that he injured CM Punk to the extent that he did, and it perfectly aligned with the villainous character that he quickly settled into. McIntyre had already been a bad guy for a couple of months now, but he took it to a whole new level with the CM Punk ordeal. He used the situation to get heat for himself, and he couldn't keep CM Punk's name out of his mouth. While McIntyre was busy posting memes on social media taking shots at Punk, Punk himself chose a different approach, staying quiet for the most part. While Punk didn't speak up too much, he made sure that whenever he did open his mouth, that there was real deal impact whenever he fired his shots. Drew McIntyre's approach to social media helped keep himself relevant in a big way. In fact, nobody on the entire WWE roster, not even The Rock, used social media to generate buzz the way that Drew McIntyre did. He was red hot, and it was no surprise that after Punk's injury, he was the first choice to face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. It's even more impressive when you consider that Drew McIntyre had already lost to Seth Rollins twice in 2 months, once at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia in November 2023, and once on the Day 1 edition of Raw this year. While Punk had some time to respond in the build-up to WrestleMania, it really culminated at WrestleMania Sunday itself. After Drew McIntyre predictably defeated a beaten-down Seth Rollins to become the World Heavyweight Champion, he finally got his moment to celebrate a World Championship victory in front of fans, a moment that was 4 years in the making. It wasn't enough for him though, and after his win, he went to CM Punk on commentary and stood on the table to rub salt in the wound. That was supposed to be CM Punk, but it was Drew McIntyre holding the title instead. But in a poetic moment, CM Punk decided to launch an assault on McIntyre and took him out, giving Damian Priest the perfect opportunity to finally cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase successfully. And just like that, Damian Priest pinned Drew McIntyre to become only the second world champion of Puerto Rican descent in WWE history. He also became only the second man to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania. As you know, the first person to do it was the man McIntyre beat Seth freaking Rollins. From being called a fool for not being able to cash in his briefcase, Damian Priest instantly turned into the most calculating man in WWE, timing his cash in perfectly. As if it wasn't poetic enough, Drew McIntyre's obsession with CM Punk cost him the World Heavyweight Championship. But 24 hours later, it was gonna get worse for him. The next night on the Raw after WrestleMania, Drew McIntyre was scheduled for the main event where a fatal four-way between him, Ricochet, Bronson Reed, and Jey Uso would determine Damian Priest's challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship. McIntyre was perfectly positioned to finish Jey Uso and pin him for the 9th time in 5 months, but seemingly out of nowhere, CM Punk appeared and held Drew McIntyre's leg, giving Jey Uso just the perfect time to take advantage and switch positions, pinning Drew McIntyre for the first time. This was another brilliant bit of storytelling. Not only did Drew McIntyre's hated rival CM Punk cost him again, but Jey Uso, the man whom McIntyre has hated with a vengeance for 2 years now, pinned him to earn a world championship opportunity. What makes this whole feud between Punk and McIntyre even more impressive is the fact that Punk hasn't even had a match since it began. It's a story that's been crafted so well that it's managed to drum up interest even when everybody knows that their first match against each other is probably going to be a few months from now. Assuming we follow the timeline of CM Punk's return, he should be cleared for in-ring action around July. The fact that Clash at the Castle takes place in Scotland makes it the perfect place for Drew McIntyre to win the World Heavyweight Championship back. The next couple of months are going to be incredible. The potential for character growth, specifically for Drew McIntyre, is immense. We hope he has a complete breakdown and goes berserk, wreaking havoc on Monday Night Raw. It says a lot that fans are still so invested in him after the back-to-back defeats he suffered at WrestleMania and the Raw after. It's a storyline of the year candidate, and we're only 1/3 into the year. WWE can take two routes with this CM Punk-Drew McIntyre rivalry. They can either have the feud play out until WrestleMania 41, with Drew defeating CM Punk handedly at SummerSlam to gain the upper hand. After months of keeping them apart, it's the perfect opportunity to possibly have CM Punk win the Royal Rumble and challenge McIntyre at WrestleMania 41, where he can get his revenge. Or they could take the safer route of ending the rivalry at SummerSlam, or maybe having a series of matches in the summer of 24 that ends around October. It's a good way to make sure that the feud doesn't overstay its welcome and neither man will lose their momentum. Either way, it's going to be an extremely interesting period to be a Drew McIntyre and a CM Punk fan. With Punk gaining even more popularity after the release of the All-In Brawl footage between him and Jack Perry, he isn't going to have any trouble staying relevant in the months to follow. This feud has a lot of dollar bills printed on it, and we can't wait to see how it all plays out. Thank you for watching.